You'll have to excuse me if I'm a little bit flat and low energy this week. The Last of Us Part 2 has basically been the Dementors from Harry Potter and just sucked all the joy out of my existence.
Sounds like you need some chocolate then. The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem. G'day and welcome to episode 112 of the Gaming Lovers Podcast. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo. Welcome one and all to the fortnightly fix of non-fortnight related gaming news.
Yeah, we don't really touch on that unless it makes the news. It's been a busy couple of weeks. It always feels like there's so much more to talk about now that we've moved fortnightly, with a lot of gaming announcements, things that would have been announced at E3 slowly trickling out in their own digital conferences. And Ubisoft had a lot of reveals and bigger trailers and actually finally showed real gameplay footage of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Can it be? Gameplay footage, Take 2, version 2, Mark 2. It is finally here. We get to see some actual gameplay footage of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
So we'll talk about all of that and more in this episode of the Gaming Lovers Podcast. But first, gaming goals.
Gaming goals. You sort of took the reins on the song without warning, so I had to just throw in my little flash of finesse.
You think you wouldn't need much warning after all these episodes when I say, and now it's time for, what else am I ramping up to?
The Gaming Lovers Podcast has gone fortnightly because we have Player 3, our newborn baby, and one would think that having a 5-week-old child would negatively impact my amount of gaming that is possible, and yet life finds a way. As Jeff Goldblum in his wise wisdom in Jurassic Park says, life finds a way. And we have found a way to enjoy a fair few games in this amazing fortnight. Again, not the video game, but the actual time span of 2 weeks, 14 days, fortnight. If I say fortnight in this podcast, assume it's not the video game fortnight.
Yeah, I've managed to play a little bit here and there, drips and drabs, more of Dragon Age Inquisition when I've had the energy and also quiet time. Sometimes I've attempted to play whilst feeding at the same time, if I can get the pillows arranged just right and have a free hand. The beauty of Inquisition is I can, for the most part, there's certain sections I can definitely play with just one hand. If I'm doing a lot of dialogue, it can be good because then I don't always have to respond right away. You can just have that awkward pause in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah. Dragon Age Inquisition, your equivalent of comfort food in the video game world.
Oh, definitely. And it has been very comforting to replay. And there have been bits I'm like, oh yeah, it's been so long since I've played it that I had forgotten about certain aspects. So it's kind of nice to go back to it.
Now, are you playing it the usual way, or have you made any major differences? Because this is a game that has many branching options for quests, for romances, for friendships, for allies, for enemies. Are you playing it the default Gem way? Because you lean into a certain mold when you play these sort of games.
I've diverted slightly. I normally am a human mage, female, and I have my favourite story arcs as far as romance and such with these games. But I've actually gone a little different. I'm playing as an elf this time around. And
Elf from the 80s?
Yes.
A little alien creature?
Didn't you know that you could play as him? He's like a bonus. Yeah, it's New Game Plus only.
Okay. Dwarf, human, elf, and Alf.
And Canary. But yeah, I definitely do like to play my favourite way, like my canonical playthrough when I replay it. But I have, with all Dragon Age games, gone and played every option because I feel like that's part of the game experience, is that you don't get the full experience unless you've done every path to its full extent. So I've done all the different races and taken different paths and made different choices. Much similar to with Mass Effect, you've got your Paragon run and your Renegade run, and all those things help make the experience of the game, and I feel like you don't get that if you only do one run through one way.
Yeah. There's a lot of variety in these games, and it is the spice of life, even in space and in fantasy lands.
Mm. Well, I feel like, you know what? I don't have anything else in the Gaming Girls to report, so I'm going to leave the booth and just let you gush about all the games that you've been playing for the last 2 weeks. So,
is it through jealousy that you're leaving? Is that the reason?
No, there's also, motherhood duties.
Oh, motherhood duties. My life has changed, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Just sing the song from Persona 5.
Rivers in the Desert.
No.
Blooming Villain.
Better not be.
Our baby better not be a blooming villain.
Oh, dear. Now I'm going to let you go and talk about all of your fun that you've had at the weirdest of hours with your good buddy the Falcon. And I'll be back for when we jump into the stuff with Ubisoft.
Good. Get out of here and attend to our child while I sit and talk about video games in an empty box.
Well, it's technically not empty if you're in it. Ooh.
If it's rated off the standard of my head right now, it's pretty empty. So at the end of last fortnight's podcast, that's still taking some time to get used to, I had almost finished The Last of Us Part 2, a game that had made quite the splash through the gaming world with its theming and its story direction and its story execution and its character development. Lots of things that not everyone was very happy about. Now, of course, we are a spoiler-free podcast as much as humanly possible and inhumanly possible. We want to make sure that you can enjoy the games that we suggest. We want to make sure you enjoy the games that you are playing without any fear of just raining down spoilers unexpectedly without warning. The Last of Us Part 2, a lot of people have had issue with the way the story was told and the contents of the story itself. People made petitions wanting it to be rewritten. I think that, in my opinion, overall, I enjoyed, in quotation marks, The Last of Us Part 2. It was a soul-sucking, depressing journey through abysmal emotional turmoil, but overall, I enjoyed the gameplay for sure, and I enjoyed the way the story was told. Now, if I had my preference, I would have told a different story, but I like to lean into the fact that if a director has a vision for their game, for their movie, for their book, that is their prerogative. If I want to write a better story, I should go and write my own story. Make a video game of my own that I can have that control over. I don't think we can complain and fully delve into the abyss of hatred and vitriol that people have thrown at the directors, the actors, the person who made the trailer, the person who was under instruction from the director on how the trailer was supposed to be put together. There should not be that much hatred put together at a work of fiction. If people are invested in a game and they love the game, then you make a sequel and it's not what people want, that's always going to be a danger. I didn't want Alien 3 to go the way it went. But look, it is what it is. We had Bald Ripley. What was I even talking about? The Last of Us Part 2. Gameplay-wise, I had a blast with this game. I liked the new enemies that they brought in, the new enemy tactics that the humans work towards your demise. I had no problem in killing dogs if they were trying to eat me first. I'm not someone who goes out and massacres puppies on my Saturday afternoons, but if they are trying to tear out my throat, I will throw Molotovs at those canine beasts. So I had no problems gameplay-wise. The Last of Us Part 2, overall, I think it was not able to surpass the impact of when I played The Last of Us 1. I really, really enjoyed The Last of Us 1. I enjoyed, to a fair degree, The Last of Us Part 2. I liked what it tried to do differently. I love when a story is told in an interesting way. Sometimes that's all I need to be sold on the idea of a certain video game. And so for me personally, I think the controversy is well and truly out of sync with what it should be for a work of fiction. And it gets my 2 thumbs up. The Last of Us Part 2 gets 2 parts of thumbs in the upwards direction. Now, one unexpected blessing of having a newborn child is that my wife and myself have been alternating, to a degree, our sleeping shifts. I have been volunteering through the goodness of my heart to take probably what some would say the worst hours. When Jem heads off to bed, I stay up, keep an eye on the kid through the monitor, and make sure that Jem can get some good quality uninterrupted sleep with no stress. So I've been running until 4 a.m, 5 a.m, 6 a.m, no problem. I'm used to weird hours. I work shift work anyway. And it just so happens that my good buddy the Falcon is on leave right now. And so he has been staying up playing video games until 4 a.m. as well. Which means when the boy sleeps, when player 3 is sleeping away in dreamland and having a lovely few hours of just uninterrupted bliss in Sleepyland, myself and my good buddy the Falcon have been able to manage multiple 4-hour sessions, 5-hour sessions, consecutive nights as well, which is almost unprecedented for us. We have been playing through Dead Island Riptide. Previously, months ago, we were playing through Dead Island 1 cooperatively. Very enjoyable experience in a co-op sense. I don't think the game would excel as well as it did in my affections if it was just played single player, but as a cooperative experience, zombies, melee combat, side quests, upgrades, beautiful. Everything I love in a game. And Riptide is one of those pseudo-sequels, a bit more of the same, sort of a standalone, more of the same. And there are some slight improvements. There are some slight changes to the formula, but it does just feel like more of the same. And when I've enjoyed the experience of Dead Island by itself with the good buddy the Falcon, playing through Dead Island Riptide has also been quite fun. Our favourite thing is when there are main quests, there are side quests, and there are additional quests where someone wants as many diamonds as you can find them, or as many canned foods as you can find. And there is one lady who wants canned food. You pick up canned food, it says its value is $6 in the in-game currency. Canned food, not that much. But you give this woman, hand deliver her some canned food, and she will give you about $1,600. So she has more dollars than cents. This is an Uber Eats delivery charge to the nth degree. But it is hilarious because you can constantly interrupt her dialogue and start the same 3 words over and over again. And if any NPC talks in this game, it goes through the other player's headset as well, like you're picking it up on a radio. So unexpectedly, in the middle of nowhere, we can get these interrupt little, oh, thank you so, oh, thank you so, oh, thank you so, oh, thank you so, oh, thank you so much. And out of nowhere, it is quite funny. There are some frustrating elements with the enemies, the new enemies they've brought in for Riptide, and one of which is a screamer, a zombie that makes this horrifying shriek, and your character just pretty much just puts their hands on their heads, saying, oh no, it's too loud, it's too distracting, I can't focus, I can't shoot, I can't run, I can't jump, I can't do anything. And you just get mobbed by zombies, particularly because the difficulty we're playing on has been slightly inflated, I think, because my good buddy the Falcon picked a character called Perna who has a skill to get more experience points than what my character does, Sam B. And so he currently has twice the experience points than I have, and we have played through the same games together. We imported our character from Dead Island into Riptide, and yet he has twice the experience points, which I think is inflating the enemy levels. And so I'm doing my best to keep up. Let's put it that way. I'm doing my best. There may be some deaths. And our continuous adventures of trying to sabotage each other by throwing red explosive barrels into sneaky corners and then shooting them when the other player walks around the corner has started to become a little more obvious. If the other player's minimap icon is standing still, there's reason to be suspicious. That's all I'm going to say. As the surprises keep on rolling, I have also been able to play some Sonic the Hedgehog games. Again, The Last of Us Part 2, phenomenal gameplay, critically acclaimed, and yet the fan base did not like it. And here we have Sonic Forces, a game that was free on PS Plus a few months ago. I hadn't played it at the time. It was one of the few gaps in my Sonic library. And this is a game that is critically downvoted, thumbs down, bad game. It is not that great gameplay-wise, and yet the fan base has a soft spot for it. And one of the biggest criticisms of Sonic Forces is that the levels are far too short. You can just boost to win. Sonic in the modern games has a boost feature in the 3D modern Sonic style, and a lot of these levels you can boost through most of the level and do very little in the way of anything else. But if you are like myself, just getting through to the end of a level in Sonic the Hedgehog games is not the end of the journey. There are red rings to collect. There are moon icons to collect. There's all sorts of things to collect. There's S ranks to get. The S ranks are a joke in this game. They are far too easy to get. That is not going to be a challenge at all. But I do enjoy playing Sonic the Hedgehog games to collect emblems and icons and red rings, because they require you to take the levels a lot slower, explore, problem solve. All right, it's up at that platform. How the heck do I get up there? I've never been up there before. Let me have a think. What's around here? Is there a ramp I can use? Is there enemies I can bounce off to get up there? I love games that make me think, and even something as seemingly mindless as Sonic Forces allows me to think and have fun and grind away trophies, which I haven't done in quite a while, and it's a nice change of pace. The other highlight of Sonic Forces is you get to create your own character in the Sonic world, and as dorkish as that sounds, that is not something that I am all about. There are plenty of people online who make their own hedgehogs and foxes and jackals and sloths and whatever other animals there are. But in this, I have enjoyed making one who looks super cool, one that looks like a robot, one that looks like a dorky stoner. It is fun to have a stoner dog saving the world with Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what every game needs. The ability to create your own characters and throw them in alongside a cool-looking character, and you've created this monstrosity that nobody bats an eye at. That's always one of my favourite things to do. And apart from that, if I have been doing one of my late night 12 to 4 a.m. sessions with my good buddy the Falcon, and the boy does need me, I have been watching through SharePlay my good buddy the Falcon playing Infamous Second Son and Infamous First Light, which is fun to revisit because these are games that I got on my PS4 launch very, very, very early in the lifespan of the PS4. So seeing these games that I thought were so graphically incredible 7 years ago, seemingly technology has improved in the time since then, and based off the fact I have just played The Last of Us Part 2, which is graphically phenomenal, it's no surprise that playing Infamous Second Son, or at least watching through SharePlay, Infamous Second Son being played, the graphical fidelity is a little bit lower than the nostalgia goggles allowed me to remember. That is pretty much it in my gaming landscape in the past fortnight. That's 14 days. 2 weeks. We'll be back after this break. We'll both be back after this break with the Ubisoft Forward 2020 presentation. Cliff notes from the Gaming Lovers podcast, which you're listening to right now.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side, and you could be featured in the next podcast.
So, love, what did you think of Watch Dogs Legions, aka 2020, the video game?
We have had The Last of Us Part 2, showing its post-apocalyptic society's broken down because of a pandemic. We have had police brutality and a lockdown of a police state in the Watch Dogs Legion trailer. This is just... It used to be a fun escape to see so much violence and depression and economic failure
There was a
of the
fun
stock
escape.
markets. Yes, absolutely. Watching other people suffer when it's not you is fun. Gosh, that makes me sound bad, doesn't it? Watch Dogs Legion. I am intrigued because I do like games where you can play missions in different ways. That is the appeal of Hitman, for example. You can tackle the objective stealthily, guns blazing, getting creative, thinking outside the box, explosives, shotgun, knife, mallet, rubber duck. Whatever you want to use, go for it. And Watch Dogs Legion showing that you can recruit anyone in the world. We have construction workers, we have spies, we have drone experts, we have professional wrestlers by the looks of things. I saw a moonsault and a German suplex. That cannot be a coincidence.
Well, they do have a good wrestling scene in London. So, gotta have a bit of that strong style in there. The British strong style.
British strong style. That's what we need to save the world from the evil Albion Corporation. It looks like it is trying something different outside of the original Watch Dogs formula and not staying within the GTA Lite lane that it started off in. That is good. And we will see, because the tail end of this year, as it does every October-November period, is going to be chock-a-block full of big games. Ubisoft themselves have multiple games launching within that window, and they're all going to be competing for each other's sales. Does that seem like a sound business strategy to you?
No. But it is what it is. Sometimes games benefit from being released around each other, and other times, it's one will destroy the other. So we shall see, I guess.
We shall see. And of course, thankfully, the old lady showed up again in the trailer, kicking him in the shins, zapping him in the throat with a taser. Old lady Helen, whatever her name was, will be recruited into my team of misfits. And I might go outside the box. And if I do play Watch Dogs Legion, I'm going to create the ugliest team possible. There will be no glamorous spies or sexy seductresses in my team. I want old ladies. I want bald men. I want freaks and geeks.
Are you saying that all bald men aren't sexy?
That's for you to defend that point, I guess. Hopefully.
I'm just going to say, there's definitely... Agent 47 is a professional assassin, and he's bald.
You think he's sexy?
I'm not saying he's ugly.
Oh. What a svelte head he has.
Anyways, it was good to finally see some real gameplay for Valhalla with Assassin's Creed, and they kind of had us going for a little bit because when the developers and that were talking about the game, they kept showing all the cinematic trailer stuff. Again. And
We're we cannot do this again to us, right?
Yeah, and then they finally jumped into some real gameplay with that little asterisk of, not the final stuff, so they're still working on it. But it was nice to actually see, examples of combat, the building system. It looks like you get to grow your village and all that comes with it. Don't know if it's going to be anything like Odyssey where you have dialogue trees and choices that was kind of left untouched in this particular reveal. But we did get to see more of the combat, and it looks like there's a fair bit of diversity. You've got dual wielding, and you can mix and match however you like, even double shields.
The Great Viking Offensive, double shields. I do like the fact that you can mix and match whatever you want. You want a hammer in one side and a sword in the other, or a shield, or a whip, or whatever else we saw in this trailer. Lots of different weapon options. The combat does look a little different to Odyssey. And again, for a game like Assassin's Creed that's been going forever, you need to differentiate your franchise entries. And I'm glad that they have slightly. I am very interested in the little settlement building part of things. I want it to be Viking Stardew Valley. I want to work my way up from nothing and build my own little empire and take over the British Isles.
It's only fair that they get invaded too, right?
I'm glad.
I'm sorry.
I am glad that they are still leaning into what has treated Assassin's Creed very well in past entries, is that we have some historical stuff, we have some poetic license stuff, and we have some mythological stuff. And of course, Norse mythology is filled with so many different things to draw from. I'm looking forward to how it implements into the story. I'm glad you can play whatever you want as a Viking. Again, aggressive, stealthy, sneaky, bow and arrow, sword, mallet, double shields.
Double shields.
My question for you is, what did you think of Ready Player One, the video game?
What was it called again?
Hyperscape?
Hyperscape. Yeah, as soon as I started describing it, we were just like, yeah, this is Ready Player One, the little tiny compact cities and everyone living on top of each other kind of thing,
Again,
escaping to a virtual world.
Thankfully, we have 30 years until the world collapses on itself,
Apparently.
according to this timeline, which is a bit more than I thought we had based off how the world's going. But yeah, everyone is trapped in depression, and the big escape's there. It's this virtual online thing you can live in.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, very Ready Player One, and there's battle royales involved. There seems to be some hacking going on, some sinister plot lines, and for something that I thought was going to be a purely multiplayer, nothing more than a battle royale experience, there seems to be a little more plot-wise than I expected. And it reminds me a bit of Sword Art Online, Gun Gale Online.
Season 2.
People being attacked in games and dying in real life, going missing in real life. What the big mysteries are here. And unfortunately, if you're trying to compete with Ready Player One, I mean, at least have the Iron Giant and fill in the blank
And
character
Gundam.
here. So many characters in that movie.
Gotta have Gundam.
It's like the little checklist at the end of the Where's Wally book.
For me, I think one that I found intriguing in this presentation was right at the end, the cinematic trailer for Far Cry 6, where the mirror from Once Upon a Time, that's how I will know him as, is super evil and scary.
Super evil and scary. Now, you just mentioned that actor, Giancarlo Esposito. Now, my good buddy, my good brother, Mr. Steve, would be able to pronounce that with far more Spanish flair than what I just did. But I know him from Breaking Bad. You know him from Once Upon a Time.
Mm-hmm.
Very different thematic shows, very different character ranges from the same actor. This is much more in line with Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And what did you think? Did he give you the icy cold chills down the spine? Because he was pretty menacing.
Handing, his kid a grenade, forcing him to hold it with the pin pulled.
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you just don't let go of the
Grenade.
kaboom.
Yes.
Apparently. Far Cry always excels with their villains. Ever since Far Cry 3 with Vaas, you've had Pagan Min, you've had Joseph Seed, and now we have a chicken shop operator. I don't understand what's so scary about him. If you've seen Breaking Bad, that's all he is. He just operates Los Polos de Hamano, whatever it's called.
Well, it's basically Narcos, the video game now, because it looks and it reminds me a little bit of Cuba in the setting. I don't know if it actually is or not. A lot is alluded to, but not confirmed as yet.
It's probably the Far Cry equivalent of, just like the Far Cry 4 equivalent of the Himalayas.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not where we are, but it's thematically based off it.
Yes. So, yeah, there's obviously a lot of tension and people trapped under what looks like a bit of a cruel dictatorship.
I did not see him do one violent thing, and yet all the people were uprising. So who's in the wrong? Who is in the wrong?
Oh, dear.
They're just upset that the chicken ran out. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Who is the fairest of them all, by the way?
Oh, you'd have to ask him. That's not my job to answer.
Okay. Do you like these presentations from one studio? We're used to reviewing ones from like Sony that are showing this company's making this developer's making this developer's making this. Here's the announcement for this. This is much more focused. This was much more, here's our 3 main games we're working on. Here's a couple more. Here's 60 million players playing Rainbow Six Siege. Hooray for us. Those sort of things. Do you like these ones that are focused and targeted, or do you like the wider spread?
I like both. I would rather, I think, maybe the focus one in the sense of getting good info about each game, especially the ones that are coming out soon, and making sure that you get the hype that it needs for each title. Sometimes when you've got too much stuff thrown at you in a conference, especially a lot of indie games, they can get lost in amongst all the big announcements. So, I have like a goldfish memory, so I will remember all the things that I'm excited for, and then the rest will swiftly go in one ear and out the other. So having it small and focused means that I am taking in everything and not overwhelmed by information. But yeah, I do miss E3, and I do miss the excitement that comes from that, and
The 1 week binge of just getting everything at once.
yes, and the awkward, funny stage moments and the interviews and all that kind of stuff that usually just helps fill our meme quota for the next few months.
Especially from Ubisoft.
Yes. So, yeah. As swish and as great as these are, and I'm glad that we can still have all these announcements and stuff, I kind of hope that E3 will return and it's not the death of E3. Hard to say. They might prefer this kind of method of doing things and stick with it for the future.
Well, that sounds like a lovely time had with the Ubisoft Forward 2020. We have Nintendo Directs. We have Ubisoft Forwards. We're just marching in a straight line, it seems, and we will continue on towards the future, speaking about our gaming goals after this.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Gaming Lovers.
Well, darling, as far as my gaming goals for the next 2 weeks, obviously video games influence me, and I am susceptible to their indoctrination, so I'm going to cause an uprising in a pig mask. I'm going to pillage the British Isles and, yeah, might as well immerse myself in a virtual landscape to escape reality.
We do that anyway, right?
Oh, good. See? My joke came true. Now it's sad. What are you planning on playing this fortnight, darling?
Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition and probably more Dragon Age Inquisition.
Good. The trifecta then. Good.
But I believe Overcooked 2's DLC is due to drop soon-ish. I don't know if...
Sun's out, buns out.
Yes. Now, I know it comes out on Steam first, so we might be still waiting a while. So I don't know when we will get the chance to play that, but as soon as it's out, it's gonna be played. So we're looking forward to that, especially now that restrictions have come back in our city.
Yeah, we live in Victoria, Australia, and we are the naughty state at the moment. So we have been locked down and no one else in the country has.
Yeah.
And, well, there will be video games played, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The question is, I go back to work today from having lovely time with mummy, daddy and baby, and now it's going to be a different lifestyle, perhaps. We will see. But the best part is, for at least the next 2 weeks, I have video game sessions queued up between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm happy to report that even when the baby needs attention, when baby needs feeding, when baby needs changing, when baby needs rocking, doesn't matter, because there will be share playing going on. So I'll get to still experience video games, whatever my good buddy the Falcon's playing, and there will be video game connectivity happening in this socially isolated era. I'm happy for that aspect itself. And we have banked up so many games that we want to play and replay. After we finish Dead Island Riptide, we are going to be redoing Man of Medan. Man of Medan. Man of Medan. I still don't understand how it's pronounced. Doesn't matter. We're going to be trying that multiplayer online with various playthroughs, trying to pop some trophies in that, and a PS Plus game this past week, Erica, which is a full motion video, live action actors, choose your own adventure, hot diggity dog. It's everything I love. I have reported my affection for live action acting in video games throughout this podcast's history. And so if it's good and it's not too long, you know you're going to get the prod to play it. Erica. It reviews surprisingly well for a full motion video game.
I just need to say right now, regardless of how good a game is and how much you prod, my gaming time and availability has severely been limited.
Well, you should have volunteered for the 4 a.m. bedtimes.
Well, that's all from us for this episode of the Gaming Lovers podcast. Thanks again for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Have a lovely time of video gaming until we chat to you again. Chowski.
Bye, Nara.
And where's my pig mask?
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.